If you're looking to buy a home in 2023, then I've got some tea for you about a recent development that could increase your odds of buying a house. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the changes in the real estate market over the past couple of years. The biggest change is the increase of massive investment corporations that are buying up single-family homes.
Even as the housing market starts to cool, the market here in North Texas remains hot for investors. According to data from the real estate research firm CoreLogic, nearly 1 of every 3 homes sold here in North Texas is being bought by an investor. And in many neighborhoods, I-Team reporter Brian New discovered investor activity is even higher.
In the past 18 months here in the Stop 6 neighborhood in East Fort Worth, investor buyers have bought more than 50% of all homes sold. To put that into context, in a typical housing market, investor buyers account for 10 to 15% of home sales. And in many cases, investors, when they've made these purchases, they have torn down the old home, replacing it with a new one like this. And it's not just happening in this neighborhood. When we analyzed the real estate data from CoreLogic, we found in these 21 North Texas zip codes last year, investor buyers accounted for more than half of all home sales. When we zoom into this map, you'll see 3 of the top 5 targeted zip codes for investors were just outside downtown Fort Worth. What made these neighborhoods attractive to investors was the price. When investor activity picked up last year, according to data from Realtor.com, the average listed price of a home in these 21 zip codes was under $250,000. Since then, home values have soared in these areas. So has rent, as well as property taxes.
I think we're one of the saviors of the communities, because you might not see it, but we're the ones that are gentrifying these areas. And, you know, a lot of times we're frowned upon because there's profit. You know, a lot of the shows, but we're behind the scenes improving these neighborhoods.
But some of these neighborhoods see a downside to the influx in investor buyers.
And it's kind of like the survival of the fittest of who's going to be here.
Tonight at 10, we'll listen to why some residents are concerned about how their neighborhood is now changing. We'll also explain why some lawmakers have called out large corporate investors for gobbling up homes during the pandemic, especially in minority neighborhoods.
It's like the story of David and Goliath, where David is your everyday person with a decent savings who just simply wants to buy a home for his family, right? David could even be your everyday small-time property investor who simply just wants to maybe add a home or two for his portfolio, or maybe just to put themselves up for retirement and to have, like, you know, a few rental properties as assets. Now Goliath is your Warren Buffetts of the world, or as of recently, JP Morgan Chase, that is set to buy $1 billion worth of rental homes. Now these types of Goliaths are transitioning the landlord from a dirty tank top wearing annoying hound, right? That's your stereotypical landlord, to a 20-story high-rise building. And while it's nice to not have those pesky knocks at your door demanding for your rent from your annoying landlord, you know, because buildings don't have opposable thumbs, the reality is that these Goliaths are slowly chipping away at the American dream, one rental home at a time. The problem is that corporate home ownership not only subjects their tenants to higher rental costs, but often destroys their ability to buy these homes themselves, as companies pay top dollar to take them off the market. So basically, your everyday person is having to compete in the market with these corporations, and it's really obviously not going to be competitive at all, because you're not going to be able to do it. They're able to pay top dollar for these homes, and the sellers are going to sell them to these corporations because they get more money from them. But the good thing is the US government is here to save us from this highly unfair situation. And they are going to save us from this dreaded reality of never owning property again, right? I mean, it's not like the government stands to gain anything from this unfair setup. Not like they have any investments themselves in Goliath or anything suspicious like that. I mean, the government's always here for the little guy, right? So let's get into this new development from Congress that is supposed to be helping the little guy in this really terribly unfair situation. Congress is introducing a bill to stop Wall Street investors from buying up single-family homes. So here's what it means for consumers, for you, for me, for everyone else in society that actually wants to buy a home. So I don't know if you've heard this yet, but in November of 2022, California Democrats introduced a new bill called Stop Wall Street Landlords Act. So it's aimed to curb these investment firms from swooping in with all of their capital and buying up these single family homes, like I just mentioned to you, and making it really hard or impossible for your everyday buyer to purchase a home. So this is what happens if the bill is passed. So get this. The bill essentially says that it will make it more expensive for single-family rental companies with more than $100 million in assets to buy and sell homes by imposing additional taxes on their transactions. That's Congress's solution to the problem. So right now, there are a number of investment firms who own tens of thousands of homes all across the U.S., including Chase, which is they're in the process of buying, like I mentioned, $1 billion worth of homes. So they were able to, all these investors were able to add tons of homes to their portfolios between 2020 and 2021 when the rates had plunged to record lows. But the inventory has dried up because of that. Of course, like we know, many normal just home buyers had issues purchasing a home because the mortgage rates fell, but the demand soared. And so they were up against, these Goliaths, right? And they couldn't compete. The lack of inventory, okay, in the market is still forcing buyers to have to duke it out with these corporations. And so it's causing an issue because these corporations have much higher financial resources. We already know this is kind of like we already know this is what's happening, right? And so Congress has tried to fix this issue, or is going to try to fix this issue, because the bill hasn't passed yet, by increasing tax rates on these corporations. So will this really cause these investors to back away? Will this discourage them from continuing the process of buying these single family homes? Because on the surface, it's supposed to make it less lucrative for them to do this, because of course the rates are going to increase if they have over $100 million as assets. So it could push some of these investors out of the market if they don't have the means to do this. Or, as what I'm thinking of is, well, these corporations they're pretty smart. They're pretty savvy when it comes to taxes and when it comes to this system. They're able to get around paying tax. A lot of them don't even have to pay taxes because they understand the game. These really rich, the Warren Buffetts of the world, they understand the game. So this little pitfall of having higher taxes, higher tax rates, I'm sure they probably already calculated that being a possibility in the future because of what they're doing. And so they probably already have that planned. They probably have it budgeted because it will probably end up being worth it in the end for them. And if anything, what this might cause is for the investors that have the means to do this and have the capital to be able to eat the cost of these higher taxes, it may end up being even worse for the individual, your everyday David, right? Against these Goliaths, your everyday small town consumer, your normal everyday person. It may make it harder for them and a lot more challenging to live, because not only are they not going to be able to buy homes at decent prices, but the homes that are available to live in that are rentals, the rent's going to probably be even more expensive because these investors are going to want to offset the additional cost of the taxes that they have to pay now. So they're going to make the consumer, the renters, eat the cost, or the tenants eat the cost of their additional taxes. So it could actually end up being worse and making it worse for individual consumers. So this bill hasn't been passed yet. This is something that is on the floor, and something that's been brought up by the Democrats, by California Democrats. And so we'll see if this actually passes. But what do you think? Am I being too bleak about this? Could this actually be a good thing? But if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Press that bell to be notified when I drop my latest video. Help your girl out. And until next time, friends, bye.